and welcome to Those Who Can't Do. I'm Andrea Forcum, and I would love to tell you about all of the fun things that I have been doing this week, but unfortunately, I have been living in a dark, dark hole that is the corner of TikTok and Instagram that is discussing Love is Blind. You guys, the way I feel so heated about some of the choices that are being made on that show. And I'm trying to be empathetic because I'm like, okay, this is reality TV, but also we're not seeing everything. So I'm sure these people are going to be having conversations that we are not privy to. And so I'm trying to have empathy for these humans and the situation they're in. But at the same time, I don't want to spoil it either for people who have not watched the whole show to the end yet. But there are some choices that are made, some of the choices at the altar that are made, and the audacity of one individual in particular has me so heated because I have a couple of people that were on that show that are my absolute favorites seem like just like the sweetest, kindest, most genuine humans. And it seems like sometimes they pair those sweet, kind, genuine humans with walking, talking piles of garbage. And I wish they wouldn't do that, you know? Like it's great for TV, but it hurts my soul to see those wonderful humans matched with garbage piles. Somebody who also took a step into the reality TV world for a little bit is my guest today. Gaspare Randazzo was on The Trust on Netflix. It was actually going at like number 2 for a while, which was so cool. I have seen him do stand up twice, once in San Diego and once in Indianapolis. And I've been following him for several years online. He is so hilarious. I cannot wait for you to hear about the way that he became a teacher and how his performing has kind of grown and what his life was like when he was living on a little island and being surveilled 24/7. Without further ado, let's get to today's show. Today, I have Gaspare Randazzo with me, a comedian and 13-year history teacher. Is that right?
Well, I mean, yeah, I didn't teach history for 13 years, but I am in my 13th year of teaching, and I did do teach history for the last
Okay. So
9 years.
so the basic gist. Wait, so what did you start with?
I taught sign language for the first 3 years of my career.
Really?
I did, yeah.
Now, let's kind of go back to where you got started with teaching. How did you become a teacher initially?
So it was like kind of an accident. I was never supposed to be a teacher. I was supposed to be a professional football player, but then I stopped growing in 8th grade. So
Right.
once I stopped growing, I was like, I guess I got to pick a new plan. So I went to college for business. Then I realized I hated dressing up. So clearly, as you know, so I didn't want to be like a guy who has to dress up every day. So then I went to college in China, and when I was in college in China, I didn't learn. Oh, I went on a dare with this girl. So
Wait,
basically,
wait, wait,
I
wait,
know
wait,
I'm
wait,
jumping around, but
wait. I'm sorry. You went to China on a dare?
these are all relevant stories. All
Okay.
right. So, long story short, which I just watched this thing that said, if you ever say long story short, you're about to hear the longest story of your life.
Right,
And
right.
so, quick, I'll make it quick. I was in college freshman year. This guy came in, he does a study abroad presentation. He's like, oh, this is study abroad. And this girl who I didn't know, I was like 13 minutes into college, she looks at me and she's like, why do they do this? Like, no one actually would do a study abroad. I was like, I'll go study abroad right now. So she's like, no, you won't. I took the book from the guy. I said, I looked at the girl. I go, tell me when to stop. I flipped through the pages. She goes, stop. It landed on China. I could have really, my whole life would have been different. Depending on which chapter it landed on, my whole life would have been different. It lands on China. So now I'm in China, right? So I go home. I tell my parents, I'm like, I'm dying to go to China. They're like, since when? I'm like, I always wanted to learn about Chinese culture because I wanted to prove to this girl that she don't make a bet with me. And
She
meanwhile,
didn't bet you though.
yeah, no,
Gasper,
there
she
was
just said who wants to go there and you're like, is that a dare?
yeah,
Like
no.
that
In hindsight, like I wish there was some cool story that I'm like, yeah, and then we hooked up. Nothing happened, but I don't think I ever even saw the girl again. Her name was Esmeralda, so if she's listening,
Oh,
I know, and I was intrigued by the name alone.
fair.
So I was
Yeah.
like, I'll go to China for Esmeralda. But
Mhm.
it turned out Esmeralda didn't give a damn that I went to China for her because I never spoke to her again. So I go home, I convince my parents I'm dying to go to China. Go to China. living in China for a few months, I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm just like walking around China. I don't speak Chinese. I learned nothing. I come home from China after a few months. They wanted me to stay and teach English,
Yeah.
but my grandma got sick, and then I was like, oh, if God forbid my grandma dies, it's a 16-hour flight, 16-hour time difference. I'm not getting home for 3 days. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go home. So I stayed a few months, went home, get home. They put me in Chinese level two. So now I'm sitting there. I didn't learn one. So how am I in two? All I learned was how to say yi are su, which means like one, two, three, because we had a play that we put on for all these like kids in China and we reenacted Baywatch. And I was a lifeguard. And I went, yi are su. I was giving CPR to a person. So then when I get to Chinese level two, she's like, "Oh, Renchini Han Gao Jing." I was like, "Yi are su." I just said that, and she's like, "That means one, two, three." Like she answered me again in Chinese. Like I knew how to say little phrases. So I was like,
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, ni hao piao liang." That means hello, beautiful. That's not what she said to me.
Okay.
Um, then I was like, "Look, I don't understand this," and everybody in the room was like fully Chinese speaking except me. So I went to her, and she's like, "Drop the class," and I was like, "I understood that." So I go to the bursars and I'm like, this is what's going on. I'm explaining. They're like, wow, you talk with your hands a lot. Oh, you must be Italian. So I'm like, yeah, thinking they're going to put me in Italian. They put me in sign language. So
They,
now,
like, racially profiled you into doing sign language.
yes, based on my
Okay.
hand movements. So now I'm in sign language class and it was pretty good for me and it went really well. And I was like super into it. And then I started going further in sign language. And then I was like, oh, I'll be an interpreter. So I was like interpreting. And then I was like, oh, maybe one day I'll teach sign language. So I got a double majored, I guess, whatever. Is
Yeah.
that a master's? I don't know.
Yeah. No, a
Well,
master's is a different degree, but if you double majored for your bachelor's,
yes, I double
yeah.
majored, but then some of those credits counted towards my master's because I got
Okay.
78 credits in sign language. It's a
Oh
lot
my
of
gosh.
credits. I
That
know.
is.
So I went, yeah, I have a lot of education in sign language.
Yeah.
So then I put my resume to be a history teacher because that's what my degree was in, but I was interpreting on the side, doing sign language interpreting. And then there was a hiring freeze in New York City. This is in 2012. And there's a hiring freeze. And because of that, like everyone's resumes were just going in the garbage. And the principal like took mine and she just like skimmed through it and was like, what's this sign language like that you have? And I'm like, I told her that story basically. And she's like, whoa, this was not a short story. And then she was like, would you want to teach it? And I was like, yeah, I just want to get a job. Like, I don't care. I'll
Right.
teach, sex ed, whatever you want. Like,
Yeah.
that's not I didn't want to teach
I
that, but
like
I'm
that
just,
that's the first thing you
yeah, I
brought
don't know
up.
if that
You're
was
like,
not what I
"I'll
wanted.
teach sex ed," and she's like, "We don't that's not what we want
This is an
for you to
elementary
do at
school,
all."
sir.
Right.
Um, no, it was high school. So, middle school at the time. So, I did school. I went in and I taught sign language for the first 3 years of my career. Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
so
the
I'm
first 2 years, and then yeah. So
and then you went to social studies.
then, very quickly, quick
Real
story.
quick story.
They basically were accessing everybody because my license, I had a social studies license, but I was teaching an elective. So they were like, hey, we already got 8 social studies teachers. You're taking up a slot. You're teaching an elective. So I was like, wait, I could do more. Like, hold on. So they were like, will you teach computers, social studies through computers, which was a fake class, but it was like a way that they could get me to use my license and not get
Yeah.
excess. So I taught social studies through computers, which was a nightmare. I just was like, hey guys, you ever use a computer? All right, social studies. Like, who's ready to learn? Turn your computer on. Then they all played cool math games on the computer while I stood there
Nice.
and preached about like, Alexander the Great. It was
I
great.
love it. That's fantastic. I'm still confused about how you went from business to sign language because your initial major was business when you
These are
started
good
college.
questions. So when I was in the business classes, we had this professor. He was an asshole, and he was like, "Oh, everyone buy my book." So he bought my book, and then he would quiz us and be like, "What was chapter 27? What did I say?" I was like, "Dude, I don't read. I
Oh,
can't even read." So like, I was like, "I'm not reading your book." And then I was like, "Is this what a business guy is going to be?" Like I was looking at him. Then anytime you said if you cursed, or said can't or said the word try, he made you put $1 in a bucket. And I
What
cursed
college? Are you sure this is a real college?
community college. So they I curse because like I'm from New York and like I don't know if I could curse
Mhm.
on here, but like,
You
you know,
can.
yeah, like so like for us it's just like a transition word. Like I just
Right.
say it while I'm speaking. I'm like, oh, I gotta go to the store later. I'm not saying it to, I want to the store. I'm just saying it. So I would just randomly say a curse and then he's making me put $1 in this bucket. So I hated it. And then at the end, he threw a pizza party, which was weird. It was a pizza party at a bar. Then he bought pitchers of beer for us. We were all freshmen, by the way. And then I was, it was me and two other kids went. We were the three people who contributed the most money. So I was like, I'm getting my pizza. So I
Yeah.
went to get the pizza thinking the whole class was going. No one went except me and these two other guys. So we just sat there. They just drank beers. I ate like 9 slices of pizza because I put like $20 in
Yeah.
that bucket.
You
I was
bought
getting
that
my money.
pizza.
And
Yeah.
then, so I didn't love business. And then I was just like, oh, and then when I went to China, I went for international business studies. And then I
Okay.
was like, yeah, this is not for me. Like, I was just like, everyone was like shaking hands. And like, I was like, I got my hair buzzed into a mohawk when I was in China. Everybody else was like, they brought suits. I was like, oh shit, I bought a suit while I was in China, a black pinstriped suit with red
Oh.
velvet inseams. I thought it was cool. Apparently, it's immature. And I had to, it didn't fit in my luggage. I had to wear it home on the flight. It was a 16-hour flight. I had to wear it under my clothes because it was so fitted. Then I had to wear a bunch of clothes over it because I bought so many clothes while I was in China. So I had
And
to
you
wear all my clothes home on the flight. It was miserable. 16 hours wearing like 6 layers of clothes. And at TSA, they stopped me and they were like, sir, take off your jacket. I took it off. I had a whole nother jacket on. They're like, take it off. I took it off. I had a whole nother sweatsuit. I had to keep delayering. I had a full suit on at the bottom. And no one spoke English. I was like the biggest in China. So I was like, I can't do business. This is not for me. So I came
Wait,
home, sorry, go ahead. I'm sure there's so many
I
questions.
I just why couldn't you what was the problem with the pinstripe suit? Why is that not
Oh, it was like
professional?
cartoon mobster. It was like red
Was it
velvet and you know what?
was it
It
like
might be
tailored?
oh, it was so fitted. It was beautiful on me. Like I wear it to school every year, but I don't fit in it anymore. So now I just carry it to school. But I show the kids because I want them to see like this is what it was 75 US dollars and it was a whole
Oh,
beautiful suit.
yeah, that's a steal. Do you have it? Is that what you were gonna go grab?
I think I might have it in this closet down here because I wore it for a video recently. Hold
I
on,
mean,
ready? Let
please
me
get
look.
it. Yes.
All right. So here's the suit, right? It's just a regular pinstripe suit. But then when you
Yes.
open
Yeah.
this, it's like a smoking jacket, you know? So,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so
I
like now imagine I'm just casually walking around China. I'm like, what's up, everybody? Like throwing
but
the arm open.
that's not velvet though, right? That's like a
No, a
silky.
silk. I meant silk.
Okay.
Yeah, it's silk. And I paid extra for the silk. It feels
I
nice,
bet you did.
but you know, it wasn't practical, apparently.
Right. Right. And that you got that feedback from the TSA when you were trying to
I
come
got it
back into the United States?
from
Okay.
everybody I met in China was like, "What are you doing?" Because they all bought nice suits,
Right. And
and
you
I
went for the red silk
comical suit,
lined
and then I realized
pinstripe.
business wasn't for me. So then I came home. I actually switched my major to communications.
Mm.
It was every class was watching a movie, and
Yeah.
my number one like issue is if I sit in a movie theater. Since I was a child, I fall asleep instantly. So like it's something with the lights being off as soon as I sit. So every class we were watching movies, I kept falling asleep. I'm like, this isn't for me either. If this is what communications is, so I left that, and then I was like, whatever, I'll just teach.
I actually started as a communications major as well. And then I
Did
was
you
going to go
leave for
into
the
the
same reason?
no, because we didn't there was one actually I do remember there was one class that was about film and it was the like study of filmography or something where we watched like really old movies and we talked about like oh what is that one with the sled and there's like the old newspaper the Hearst people I think oh
Nightmare, not nightmare. Christmas Miracle on 34th Street.
help Rob what is it called Citizen Kane, thank you,
Citizen
which, like,
Kane.
they're like
Oh, Rob, I didn't
Holly
realize you were still here.
oh, yeah, no, they pop in and they'll help me, especially because they're all, like, Hollywood people, and so that's, like, a foundational, film for all of, like, cinema, and we had to watch that and talk about, how
Yeah, that like,
phenomenal it
that
was,
stuff was
and
brutal to me.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
it is. And then I was like, "Oh," 'cause the reason I was a communications major is because I wanted to be in radio, and so I took all of those classes, but most of them were just speech classes where we had to do all presentations all the time, so we could be comfortable, like, talking in front of people, and then I realized that I didn't wanna be in radio because all the radio DJs that I met were, like, deeply, deeply unhappy. I was like,
Well,
"Well, I
and now
don't."
look at you,
I know, I
kind of
know.
in
Well, now
radio.
well, yeah, okay, so one of the things that I didn't like about the whole radio world is that if you were a woman and you were doing the morning show, you usually had to do the gossip, like the Hollywood gossip and stuff, and I just every time I did it, I felt kinda gross and icky that I was, like, talking about these people's lives, like, some of whom didn't really wanna be talked about at all, and I just was like, I don't wanna do this for the rest of my life." So
I
then
can
I,
see
like
that.
yeah, then I switched to, like, being an English major because 'cause I'm like, "I don't know, I like books."
Well,
And
that's the thing, like, I started as a history major because I was like, I always liked history, and then I was like, "Oh, what am I gonna do with this?" Like, I don't wanna work in a museum because then I'd have to wear the suit. So I was
right.
like, "What can I do with this?" And then I was like, "Oh, I'll just be," and my mom was a teacher, so it's not like I didn't know the field, and, like, I've been to school my whole life, so I knew teachers. So,
Yes. So who would be, like, your favorite historical figure?
I mean, it would probably be Abe Lincoln, um, but, I'm a big Abe Lincoln fan. Uh, uh,
Really?
yeah. Do you want me to expand on that?
Please do. Yeah. Why Abe Lincoln?
All right. So when I was younger, let me make this story a little PG. When I was younger, I had gone to so for my honeymoon, we went to Abe Lincoln's birthplace because it was a tax write-off. So we were like, let's go, we'll enjoy. We could see the sights of Kentucky that no one wants to see. And
Mhm.
so we go to Kentucky. And while we were there, I was always fascinated by history, period. So while we were there was a well, and they said Abe Lincoln drank water from this well. So jokingly, I said to my wife, I was like, we were dating at the time. I was like, oh, I guess we were married, whatever. No, no, we were dating. So I said to her, I said, it's irrelevant. We don't like each other now, so it's fine.
Oh,
So we went to, there was a well, and I said, how funny would it be if I drank water from the well? And my wife's like, why would that be funny? And I'm like, well, but like we were dating at the time. So she was like, that would be funny. Like now she'd
right.
be like, huh, I hope you fall in. Um, so she was like, I was like, they said Abe Lincoln drank from the well. So I lean in, I drink the water from the well. And then we look around and there's a sign. Literally, there were signs everywhere. And it was like, warning, do not drink water in well. Well is contaminated. So I was like, oh, like, we shouldn't have drank that. She's like, I didn't. You did. And I'm
She's
like,
like, "That was
well,
you."
I'm like, all right, cool. So, and then like I saw Abe Lincoln's glasses. I saw his Bible. I was like, wow. And then I stood in the log cabin where he was born. It's in a museum now, but I still like, I stood near the door and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And like, I was always fascinated by Abe Lincoln. Like, do you know why Abe Lincoln's face droops a little?
No.
Because when he was 8 years old, he got kicked in the face by a horse, and they thought it killed him because he was unconscious for like 3 days. And on like the fourth day, his family was like, "All right, let's start digging the hole to dump Abe in." And then he woke up. So like, which is kind of how I want to go. So
Right,
no one
right,
even
yeah.
knows if I'm alive or dead. So I jokingly came back to school and I would tell the kids, like, guys, like, I would tell them all those stories and I'd be like, guys, like, Abe Lincoln and I, like, our spirits are intertwined because I drank water that Abe Lincoln drank. And the kids would be like, you're freaking weird, mister. And like, I don't care. Like, to me, it's funny. I was a brand new teacher. I was like 21 years old. So I was like, I had pictures of Abe Lincoln all around my classroom. So the kids are like, yo, mister, like, low key, like, you trying to like do Abe Lincoln. And I'm like, I'm not. I mean, he's very much dead. And
Right.
so they would have pictures of Abe. They would cut out Abe Lincoln's wife's face and glue my face on it. So there would be all these photos of Abe just holding me around my classroom. And I liked it. I thought that was funny. So I left it. So then they were like, yo, it's not even low key anymore. Like, you trying to, like, like, so then I left the pictures up. So one day I had a picture of Abe Lincoln. I was like, how funny would it be if I got this tattooed on me? So a kid's like, "Oh, that's crazy. Like, you would never do it." So the kid's like, "I bet you $500 you wouldn't do it." So now, like, I'm a teacher. I'm brand new. I'm like, "Whoa, $500." Like, do I hear 600, 600, 7, 7? So now I'm going around the room. Everyone's throwing numbers at me. So I'm writing it down on a piece of paper. Now I'm like, you know what? This is kind of a good idea. So I go to the tattoo parlor a few days later and I got the tattoo and I'll show it to you. I don't know if
Perfect.
if there's video on here,
Oh,
but
there is. Yeah.
so I go to the tattoo parlor, I get the tattoo, I go to work the next day. I'm like, "Hey Mike, you got $500 on you?" He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Joe, you got $1,000 on you?" The kids were all confused. And then I stood on the desk and I was like, "Oh, hold on." Oh, it's a rolly chair. So I could,
Please don't fall.
nah, it's fine. I'm in my own house. Then I showed them, I was like, "Dan, dan, 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 dan." And there is Abe for the rest of my life. And then what
It's
I
so good too.
Oh, yeah, and then what I do is I move his lips when I read the kids the rules of the classroom. So I'm like, "Rule number 1, don't chew gum." And that, like, creeps them the hell out, and I
Yeah,
like that. So I guess
fair.
Abe's my favorite president.
That tracks. Yeah, that makes sense. You know what's funny is when I lived in Virginia for about 7 years, and I grew up in Southern California. I was never really super interested in history in general, but when we first moved there, I went over to a friend's house and I went into their hallway. And you if those of you who are unfamiliar with living in anywhere like north of DC in Virginia, really, like, you get, like, 45 minutes outside of DC, it becomes like the South, right? There is, I believe, still on the 95, a gigantic Confederate flag flying still to this day.
I believe it, yeah.
And oh, yeah. And there were all sorts of reenactments, there like, constantly, right? And so I go over to my friend's house and, like, a friend I had met at church, and I'm walking into her parents' house, and I look at the wall, and there's these black and white photos, and I was like, "Oh, are these, like, your family members, like, your ancestors or something, like, your great-great-grandfather or whatever?" And she looked at me, and she's like, "Andrea, that's Robert E. Lee." And I was like, "Wait, who?" Because, again, I had not looked
Yeah.
at, like, Civil War history in forever, and
No,
she's
my
like,
wife would have no idea who that is.
Yeah, like General Robert E. Lee, and I'm like, "Wait, wait, sorry, you have a Confederate Civil War general on your just on in your hallway?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, he was widely respected by both sides." And I'm like, "Okay, but, and like that, but in that area,
It's a
like,
whole different world. I remember we went to a
completely."
gas station down there once, and, like, literally, I walked in, it was like a time warp. Like, I just didn't even feel like I was in, like, the same America that I live in, but they
Uh-huh,
also feel that way when they come to New York, you know what I mean? It was
exactly.
just like, everything, like, in the gas station was all, like, Bible-y themed, like, T-shirts, like, I remember there was, like, a video game, it was like Call of Duty, but it was, like, Call to Duty, and it was, like, a guy, like, with a cross in his hand, and I was like, "This is a
Ooh.
very different Call of Duty than I am used to seeing."
Oh, yeah, and when I taught in Virginia, that was my first teaching job for the first 3 years, very rural, like, town where all the kids, like, came from farm families and stuff like that, and during that first year, I remember I saw this kid who had, like, a T-shirt from a local truck stop with the sleeves cut off, and then he had just gotten fresh ink, and it was a massive Confederate flag across his shoulder, and I was like, "Uh, is that hmm, is that actually did you tattoo a Confederate flag on your
Those are
shoulder,
usually
my guy?"
popular in prison, though,
Yeah,
when he
yeah,
gets there.
uh-huh, and he's like, "Well, yeah, I did." And I'm like, like, don't you feel like maybe that's, like, not a good look? Like, people might associate you with the KKK or something like that, and he's like, "Well, what would be wrong with that?" And I was like, "Oh,
Oh, you kinda want
oh,
that.
oh,
You're into
got it.
that. Got it.
Yeah, got it." And, like, it was that school was, like, 40% Black and then, like, 50% white, and then there was, like, other demographics in there, but very few. And so it's not like it was all white kids in that class. So, like, you could feel the energy change as he said that, and I'm like, like, all of 26 years old, my first year in the classroom, and I'm like, "We're not gonna you know what? We're not gonna be talking about the merits of the KKK in here, I can tell you that right now, just as a, like, a
Sorry
starting
to
place."
let everybody down.
Right. Yeah, I was like, "That's not where today is going." Anyways, let's talk about Canterbury Tales and try to adjust, but it was not
Look,
anything I
I'm
was even
sure reading Huck Finn was a blast in that class,
oh,
you know?
thank God. That was when I taught seniors, so I didn't have to teach Huck Finn at that school. I did at another school, and that was brutal. Would not recommend having to read that one aloud or have the audio played or anything even remotely close to that.
Because you
I
can't
think
even like jump around. It's not even like you could skip. It's literally every page.
no, I wanna say I'm Rob, I bet you could, search it up, but I believe they say the N word somewhere around, like, 293 times in Huck Finn, which
Yeah.
is too many.
You know,
1 is
it's
too many.
it's funny. It's not funny, but one time I like printed documents, like, because in history we have to always give documents. And it was just like it was like someone's story, whatever. And like
Yeah.
I like briefly skimmed it. I'm like, all right, cool. This guy's talking enough about the South. Like, this is perfect for the kids to read. Give it to them. And then like within 30 seconds, like a bunch of hands went up, and I'm like, oh, I should have proofread this. And it was like the guy just like kept referring to the slave as the end. I'm like,
Oh,
no, no, no. I was like, well, guys, this is unfortunately how they spoke. I was like spinning it, and I'm like, this is what was happening. And they're like, sorry, Rob, go ahead. Yeah.
219
That's
times
how many
is
times it said it on that short document that I gave the kids also. They were like, wow,
it's so bad.
this is heavy on the N word. I'm like, yes, it is. And now
Well
you all know how they spoke.
right, and, on my in my early years of teaching, I would sometimes have my students popcorn read, right? And because I'm an idiot, I wouldn't
They were just
always
sweating, they were reading ahead.
oh, pouring, right? And because there's that, and then there's Huck Finn there's Huck Finn, and then there's To Kill a Mockingbird that have that
Yeah.
word in there. And there were times where I was like, "Okay, guys, we're just gonna, like, popcorn read, not looking ahead." And then the kids would be reading, and all of a sudden, you would just hear, like, silence. And I'm like, "What's" and I'd catch up to where we were, and I'm like, "We just will skip," you know? And eventually I got smart, and we didn't do popcorn reading at all because it's garbage, but then also, like, we had a whole conversation around language or and all of that kind of stuff, but it was so painful, a painful lesson to learn.
Last week, speaking of To Kill a Mockingbird, last weekend I was in Rochester, New York, doing a show, and I'm like going around doing stand up comedy, and I'm going around to people, and I'm like, "What do you do?" Everyone was a teacher, of course, the whole guy, teacher, teacher, teacher. Finally, I get some guy. He goes, "Yeah, I'm a teacher too." I go, "I don't think I believe you." And he goes, "Yeah, I teach second grade." I go, "You do? What are you guys doing? What are you guys doing tomorrow at school?" He goes, we're reading To Kill a Mockingbird." I go, "You're a horrible teacher if that's true, because that's not age appropriate," which kind of worked out perfect. And he was like, and then after the show, he's like, "I don't know." He wasn't a teacher, obviously. And then he's like,
Right?
"I don't know. That's the first thing that came to my mind." I'm like, oh, yeah, reading To Kill a Mockingbird to a bunch of second graders would
That would be
really,
a bold move for
yeah.
sure. So speaking of your stand-up, how did you transition from doing all of the classroom stuff to then doing stand-up?
Well, basically, being a teacher is just like being a stand up comedian because, like, you're in front of different people, different groups every show, right? The classroom is a show 5 times a day. A show is a show, right? And then like you have different audience that are going to react differently to different things. You have a set that you're going to say, but there'll always be people that derail it and throw it off. And you just have to deal with it. And sometimes people react better. It's like you have to differentiate your your thing. If you're in the South, certain jokes might not work. If you're in the Northeast where the people are more like me and more rowdy and raunchier, then they'll work. You got to cater to your audience. So I was like, oh, this is a pretty easy transition. So basically, one day I was an extra in a movie about they were like filming this movie in a school right by my house, and someone I know was in it, and he's like, dude, he's like, if you want to be an extra, like come down. They're giving everybody like makeup. It was a zombie movie. And they were like, they'll make you a zombie, like you get your makeup done. I had no kids at the time. It was like, cool, like whatever. What am I doing? It was the summer. I went, I got my makeup done. It was fun, whatever. And while I'm on the set, oh no, I did have a kid. My son was like 6 months old. So like they're just like laying there most of the day. So I was just like home. I was at the thing, I filmed. And while I was there, I'm joking around with everybody, having a good time. And this guy's like, yo, you're really funny. Do you do stand up? And I was like, no. I was like, I just always thought about it, but I never did it. He's like, well, if you want, I run a show if you wanna jump on, I'll give you 10, you know, 5 minutes or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds cool, like, I'll try it." Like, I always wanted to do it. So I wrote my whole set, you know, I was nervous as hell, but I always wanted to do it, and I always backed away. So I was like, "Now I'm doing it," like, because it's no better time than the now. That's not the saying, but you know what it is. So so I go down, I did it, and while I did the show, I did pretty, you know, whatever, I don't know, I guess I was okay. There was someone in the audience, so after the show, he comes up to me, he's like, "Yo, how long you been doing shows? Like, you're pretty funny." So I'm like, "This is actually my first show." So he's like, "Dude," he's like, he was a booker, so he then booked me on a bunch of other shows, and then I was just getting booked on shows, and I didn't even know what the hell I was doing. I wasn't even my set didn't even make sense. I was just up there talking about my life. I was just like, "Oh, today this happened," you know, and it was like no real comedy. It was just talking. And then, yeah, I guess, and then over time, I was like, I should put something together for real. So I started putting but I didn't do like teacher jokes. I just talked about life. I did talk about the classroom a little, but talked about my kids, my wife, work, growing up. And then during COVID, I started to like really like I was because New York City was a mess, like everywhere, but New York City was like really a mess during COVID. Like they were like, "Oh, we think we'll just have you guys teach outside. Like we'll just let everybody go outside and teach." And like you've been to New York, like you don't go outside. Like that's where you go to
Right.
die. So like they were like, "Just go teach outside, like, bring your class outside on the trains, like, bring your." So I started making videos making fun of that. Like, I would go in my yard and have, like, my kids running around me, and I'd have, like, a leaf blower blowing, like, as if it was, like, maintenance at the park, and I'd be, like, holding chart paper, and it would be blowing away, you know, and it was just, like, people getting hit by cars, and, like, those videos started to, like, all get, like, pretty big, like, viral. But remember, like in beginning of COVID, like viral wasn't like like now, you know, like
Yeah.
and like so they were getting like a few 100,000 views, and like I was like originally getting like 200-300 views. So I was like, whoa, like this is kind of working. So and
Yeah.
then like all of a sudden, like I became like known like in New York City as like, oh, that teacher guy who makes fun of New York City schools. Then I started doing like all these videos making fun of the mayor at the time, Bill de Blasio. And I would do like whatever his press conferences were about the returning to schools. I would watch it, and then 30 seconds later, I'd make a video replicating it, making fun of it. And they were like coming out so quick that they were all going like getting pretty big right away. So then the mayor's like office messaged me and basically was like, "Stop." like it wasn't the mayor's office, but it was like the mayor's like association with teachers, things like that. So I was like, "I'm not doing anything wrong." So his name, because he's not mayor anymore, so I don't care. His name's Bill de Blasio. I was calling myself William DeFazio, which technically is a whole different person.
Different
And,
person.
you
Yeah,
know,
not related.
so then like, but that like picked up more and more steam because then it like similar to the lady who told me not to work 18 hours a day. Like I just kept going in on the fact that they told me to cease and desist. So then people like love that. And then all of a sudden, like my shows went from like I was performing in front of like 4 or 5 people that were coming to see me to then like selling out Carolines of 280 people and then selling out. And I was like, oh my God, like the show sold out. Like I don't even know what I'm going to talk about. Like, and then I was like, all right, let me cater it to the teacher stuff because that's where they were all these people were coming. So then I started doing more of the teacher stuff. But as you've seen my set, like, yes, it's teachers, but it's just crazy stories. They're not really about being a teacher. Like, you don't have to only be a teacher to understand it, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everybody gets made fun of. So it's all good.
I think that's a perfect place for us to take a quick break. And when we get back, we are going to talk about how I met a superhero when I attended Gasper's show. Be right back. So, Gasper, I have seen you do your set twice now. I saw the first time in San Diego and then I saw it in Indianapolis. But the first time I saw it, I was just like running to the bathroom and I go into the hallway and I think I hit you with the door when
Probably.
I came into that hallway and you were standing there with I how would you describe the individual?
Lovely.
Uh-huh.
Um, I would say an older woman.
She would not like that
No, no,
for
older than
sure.
myself. I'm
Mhm.
33. I'm
Yeah.
34. She was older than me, but looked younger. Um,
her surgeons would be thrilled
No, I don't think
to
so. You
hmm,
think?
I I mean, she go ahead. I don't wanna interrupt.
Now I'm nervous to talk about her. Um, she was lovely, and she was fully dressed in a Wonder Woman costume, and not really sure why. It's not like that's my thing. It's not like I'm like, "Hey, love superheroes, come on down." But one time, jokingly, like, her profile picture on Instagram, so it doesn't really even make sense why she followed me, because most of the people follow me were teachers. She was a workout instructor, but she
Mhm.
said she just loved my comedy and my stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
Heavy emphasis on the stuff.
The stuff.
I don't have any stuff for her, unfortunately. Um, so she had a like she was like buying tickets to San Diego show, and in her picture, and so of course I prompted this. I guess you can say that
Yeah.
I egged this on, but
Mhm.
jokingly I said something to the effect of like, "Make sure you wear your Wonder Woman outfit because that's what the profile picture was," or something to that effect. And sure enough, she did. She came in a
Yes.
Wonder Woman costume and she filled it out
Very
very,
nicely.
I mean,
Very,
very
very
nicely.
nicely.
Like,
Yeah. So she and I think it's underselling it to just simply say a Wonder Woman outfit.
oh,
It was like a corset top.
which
It was
looked
like if
lovely.
it looked she crushed it.
She
Uh,
owned it.
uh-huh. It was like if a 13-year-old boy chose a Wonder Woman outfit for a
It's
woman to
almost like
wear.
if I chose an outfit for
Yes.
her, that would have
Same,
been the
same.
outfit that that I would have picked for
Yeah.
her. And yeah,
Sh
it kind of
Looks
caught
great.
everybody off guard. First off, the staff came back to tell me that Wonder Woman was there for me, which confused me because I completely forgot that I ever told her to do that. And then Andrea came back. So now we're all just hanging out in the hallway. And usually I'm just like always nice to people and I talk, but I was nervous. Like I was nervous because not to talk to her, but just being next to her was nerve-wracking. You felt it too.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it was a lot of woman in front of me, you know, and
It was.
I
You did great. Your
and
eyes stayed north.
oh,
I
I was locking eye contact like we were
Yeah,
saying
because she
wedding
was
vows.
fairly tall too,
She
so
was
you had to
much
look
taller
up.
than me. Oh, no, they
Mhm.
were in my face, and then when it
Yeah.
was time for the photo, I tried to make sure I was leaned as far away as possible so that if those photos ever went anywhere. Then I
Mhm.
also had Sam Salem take a photo, which then I sent to Joe, my friend, and then I deleted it off my phone so that there's
Mhm.
no trace that I would ever, but I want the photo to be somewhere in the world. So Joe
Right.
has it. I
For
just don't
posterity.
I just don't have it. But yeah,
Yeah.
but very nice woman. She was
She
very
was.
nice,
It
100%. Completely
very
normal,
nice.
very sweet, very
Yeah.
but, it
It
was
was very strange to walk into the hallway though, because like I obviously like you and I had been communicating at that point, and I was very excited about going to see the show. Had randomly run into a former coworker of mine who I hadn't seen in a few years. And so I had chatted with her and then I like ran to go to the bathroom and open the door and like hit you and Wonder Woman walking through. And I was confused because I thought either she was a part of the show, like I thought she was performing. And I think I said something to that effect. I was like, "Oh, are you like
one of the
doing
comedians.
like are you like one of the comedians?" And she's like, "No." And like
Uh,
offered zero explanation. She just
you know
like was like, "No."
a great act moving forward in my career would be to have her come out first and just do a little showgirls kick,
Mhm.
especially
Yeah.
considering my audiences, would be super into that,
Yeah.
being my wife's nightmare demographic audience of 21 to 45-year-old women who come to
Yeah.
my show. So, yeah, I'm sure that Wonder Woman kicking would be
It would be
phenomenal.
great. Yeah.
Uh,
And she was completely unabashed and unashamed. She sat there in that outfit the entire show and she
with a
was
couple, and she sat across from a couple, and she was just like they were just on the table, and,
it it
the
was a lot.
couple the poor guy in that couple,
Yeah.
he was like, "Either this is the best night of my life or gonna be the worst night of my life." He's like, "Why am I watching this show, and why the is Wonder Woman next to me?"
Yeah, it was a very interesting experience. And as we were chatting, because I think I don't know, we talked for like 15 minutes because it was like 45 minutes before the show or whatever.
Well, also
And
because I
at
talk right up until showtime, then through showtime, then after showtime. There's just
Yeah,
no break.
shocking. You're
No
usually
break.
very reserved and quiet.
Sam
Yeah.
was like, "Sorry, go ahead, go ahead."
I was gonna say we interrupted somebody else's set that was next door. Do you
"Oh,
remember?
Taylor Tomlinson."
Yes, who is now Like,
the host,
doing
yeah,
the host of, like, what is it, late night?
late night and all this other stuff. Yeah, we were just like in the hallway while she walked past us all and like was like, "Hey."
I know.
Um, yeah, it was funny. We were in the green room and this last week, Sam was with me again in San Diego. We were in the green room and he's like, "Oh, I don't want to talk to you before the show. Like, do you need to do anything to like prepare?" I was like, "Sam, this is me preparing. If I stop talking, I just sit there with my thoughts, I'll blow my brains out because
Yeah.
it's funny. So I was in Connecticut last month and usually I travel with somebody that I'm friends with, like an opener, but I didn't have an opener with me. The guy I usually use, Jay Yoder, he was busy. So the club's like, we'll give you people. Cool. So I'm sitting in the green room. It's like 30 minutes for the show, 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh, they're not here, I guess. So I like linger out in the hallway and I'm like, are they here? And the owner's like, oh, they're sitting in the audience just like waiting and they're gonna watch. I'm like, they don't want to hang out in the green room with me. I was like, okay. And like they didn't even know who I was. So then I'm just like, I was bored out of my mind. And at first, I'm just sitting. I went on Instagram Live, and like people are writing, like, "Aren't you doing a show right now?" I'm like, "Yeah, in a few minutes," but like we're cool. It's good. So I'm sitting there. I was like, why am I doing this? I hate this. I went out in the hallway. The bathroom was right there. Everybody was running to the bathroom. I was just meeting people by the bathroom. I was like, hey. And they're like, oh my God, like, I'm literally here to see you. And there was like 280 people in there. And like people were like going back into the club and they were like then telling their friends and their friends were coming in. They're like, we heard you're by the bathroom. And I'm like, well, now I sound like a creep. So
Right,
yeah, I'm
right,
here. I
just
was like a
hovering there.
troll, but I was like, I wanted to
Mhm.
pick some people and be like, you want to come hang out in the green room? Because I was so bored. Then I realized that that would probably get me in trouble in my
Yeah.
personal life.
Yeah, probably. It's kinda like how sharks, if they stop swimming, then they die, but for you, it's if you stop talking,
Is
then
that
you
true
just
about sharks?
implode. I don't know, probably.
Do
I
they
think
sleep?
so. I don't know, man. I feel like isn't that a thing? Because
If
they,
sharks
like
stop swimming, they die. I mean, I love that expression.
I feel like that's true. I might have made that up. I'm not a science
Well, I'm gonna
teacher,
keep
so
saying, I'm gonna say, guys, I'm like a shark. If I stop swimming, I die. And it'll have no relevance to anything, but I'm gonna say it.
yeah, just
I'll
lean
quote you
into
at the
it.
end.
No, don't. Absolutely do not. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, one of the things we do on my podcast is we take questions from people and then we get the wisdom from whoever my guest is. So, are you ready to like impart some teacherly wisdom? Which
Show a
one
movie.
yeah.
Don't even say it. Just show it.
This is one I specifically chose because of the Instagram interaction that you had with somebody very recently, which you will get after I read the question. So, dealing with teachers who are performative and phony, who virtue signal, email the entire school to really brag about how amazing they are and how hard they work. How do you deal with that? And you had somebody recently who said they worked 18-hour days, I believe.
Well, all right. Like, so this woman messaged me on Facebook and she's like, don't you think teachers get enough? I'm over here working 15-hour days and you're sitting here making fun of the job and making fun of the profession. So I was like, lady, I don't even work the 6 hours I'm supposed to work. You're telling me you work 15. If you work 15 hours a day, you have horrible time management skills. Now, if you're including the 6 hours we're at work, fine, maybe. Then you're going home and working 9 hours. Like that's a sickness because that means you're getting home at 3, you're working till midnight. Your whole life is work. I don't think about work. The minute I leave work, it's dead to me. Even when I'm at work, it's dead to me. Okay. So to me, like these people and like social media has glamorized like this get to work at 2:30 in the morning so you could fresh brew a cup of coffee and make a crock pot breakfast for your kids. Like get the hell out of here. I'm getting there when I get there. The people who are doing that, they probably suck as teachers. They're just overcompensating for the fact that they're not good. So they're like, let me decorate my classroom nicely. I'm a pretty damn good teacher. That's the only reason I could get away with the things I do. I'm a good teacher, but I don't film myself being a teacher because that's not interesting. We're all doing the same job. Like I don't know. To me, and I have nothing against them. I actually personally, I'm friends with a lot of the people who do that stuff. I like it, but I do make fun of them, and I make fun of them to their faces. So one way to handle is you could just make fun of them, but maybe that's not
Right.
for everybody. Um, but it's like it to me, it's like the guy who gives $1 to the homeless guy, but then films it. And they're like, look at me, I'm giving $1. Like you could do all this great stuff. And there's so many, and there are a lot of other reasons why people do it. So I will say, like, if I own a teachers pay teachers store, where like I'm selling my, my notes, then, you know, I do understand the value of like, hey, this is my day. And here's how I show the kids watching a caterpillar. And here's how I do this. Then it makes sense. But like, it's a little much, some of these pages, but it's also become a thing. It's like it's just like everybody else. Everyone's trying to get famous in their own way, their own niche. You and I used comedy and humor. If they're using the aesthetically pleasing thing, there's people who are good looking who are just being good looking. Like, like here's
Just
my,
existing while hot.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, here's me and my classmates, just like, I don't know if that's good
Yeah.
looking. That's just me flexing. Like,
Mhm.
like, so I get it. That's just what they're doing. I got nothing against it. But if you got to tell people how great you are, usually you're not great.
Yeah. Yeah. I
People should
agree.
just say it about you. I think I
Well,
said it when I was on the show. A lion doesn't need to tell people it's a lion.
you
It
said it
just,
right that time. It
yeah,
just is.
it just bees a
It
lion.
just bees.
Just bees a lion. But a lion doesn't tell people, it's just a lion. He doesn't have to
Right.
roar, he's just a roar. He's just
Yeah.
there.
He's just a roarer. Is
A
that what you said?
roarer. Look, sharks don't gotta swim, they gotta sleep, no stops. Sharks just keep swimming, finding Dory, Nemo.
Mm. Yeah.
Andrea said that.
Please do not attribute that to me. Absolutely not. Yeah, the, show is that he's referencing is, somebody on TikTok, by the way, called it The Vault, which I thought was
People
kinda
always
funny.
call it the vault to me. They're like I'll be walking down the street, guy came running out of a restaurant. He was like, "Yo, my man, you were on the vault." I go, "Not me." And I just kept walking. Then I turned back. He
You
goes,
did
"Yeah,"
not.
but then I turned back. I was like, "I'm just kidding." I was like, "It's called the Trust." He's like, "I'm such a moron." I was like, "Dude, I forgot the name too. I didn't even watch it." Um,
Yes, you did. Shut up. You had, like, a whole viewing party when it came out.
yeah, well, for the premiere, but then that was it. Then I fell asleep watching the second episode because I already knew what happened. And then the third and fourth episodes, my kids had baseball, they had soccer, they had gymnastics, they had CCD, they had everything. So we couldn't even watch them the next day. Then I had to wait till Friday. Then my wife fell asleep super early. So I was like, babe, I got to watch the episodes. I need to know what's being said about me because I was reading things online about me. I didn't even know what they were talking about. So then I
Yeah.
finally watched third and fourth. Then the next batch came out, same thing. It was a struggle because it came out on a Wednesday. I was at work all day. My
Yeah.
students were watching it on their phones. And I'm standing there like a jackass talking about Alexander the Great. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and they're like, you really didn't watch it? I'm like, no, but my mom did wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning because I call her every day at 7 a.m. and we talk the whole drive to school. So my mom woke up at 3 so she could watch the first 4 episodes that dropped so she could be ready by 7 a.m. when it came out. So when I called, I already knew like, do I look like, am I going to get canceled? Am I this? Am I? And she's like, no, no, it's beautiful.
Yeah. What was it like seeing yourself, like, on or, like, did you feel like the way they cut it was true to how everything went?
So that's a two question thing. Like, how is it seeing me? Honestly, like my wife's, everyone's always like, how did it feel watching your husband? She's like, he's literally was exactly the same person he is on the show, that he is in real life, that he is on stage, like he's on Instagram. Like, and that's like to me the number one compliment. Like when people see the show, like my comedy show, people are always like, you're exactly what I thought you'd be from Instagram. And I'm like, cool, thank you. Like, I don't know how to be anything else. A shark can
Yeah.
only swim sharks, so like so to me, like the show represented me. I think I came out fine. Like I was myself on the show. But it is weird watching it. I don't know if you watched it. If you didn't, that's okay. I'm not mad. So
We've talked about it. What do
I
you
know,
mean you
I
don't
know.
know if I've watched it?
I don't ever want to, like say to people because sometimes like people bring me on podcasts, then I'll talk about the show and they're like, yeah, I didn't see it yet. I'm like, oh,
No,
but I
I
know
have,
you
like,
watched it.
very strong opinions about some of the people that were
Oh,
in
I'll
it.
tell you everything after. Um,
Perfect.
but yeah, so I felt like there was a lot of things like that, like you watched the show. So like there was an alliance that they never showed. Me, the cowboy Brian, and the girl Tolu were an alliance. The three of us were super close. Like she was probably my best friend in the house. And they don't even show us interacting once until the very end. So the edit was, hey, Tolu's kind of the villain and the bitch. Gasper and Brian are like the nice guy, the funny guy, whatever. it doesn't logically make sense from a viewer perspective to watch the show because then you're like, oh, if Gasper and Brian are saying Tolu's nice and they're cool with her, then how could she be this big bad bitch? You know?
Yeah.
So like they just edited our friendship out. And then in the end, when they're showing all of us close, all the commentary was like, she's lying. She's just acting nice to them because she's trying to save herself. And it's like, no, that's not at all how it went. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that was not the case. Like, we weren't trying to be nice. Like, she was always nice to us. She was mean to
Yeah.
everybody else, but always nice to us. That, like, as a viewer, was very hard to watch because, like, she would like call me after episodes aired and she'd be like crying and she's like, I'm such a bitch on TV. If they just showed me friends with you, I like people would have been like, "Oh, she's actually nice." And I'm like, "Oh, you're a bitch. What do you want me to tell you? You suck." But like to the point, like I'm still like I FaceTimed her yesterday with my class because like we're
Aw.
close, and my class always asks questions about things, and we had extra time because the assessment I gave only lasted 5 minutes, so we had a 40 minutes to kill. So I was like, "Let's FaceTime some of my famous friends." So we FaceTimed her, and they asked her all questions. It was really funny.
That's
Like they
awesome.
were like, "Is Mr. Randazzo annoying to live with?" You know. So
What did she say to that?
no, she said I was the only reason she was happy ever in the house.
Aw.
And then they were like, "What about his style?" And she was like, "Ugh."
Yeah, that was one really consistent theme throughout the feedback was just that you were in, like, Costco clothes or Kohl's Cash clothes the entire
Yeah.
time.
My one of my
Like
favorite comments was that someone said that I went to the most beautiful place in the world, living in the greatest place ever, and I just and I decided to wear the same thing I wear to teach my 3rd period class. Because I was just, like, in a T-shirt and jeans, and everybody's dressed nice, and I'm in a T-shirt, and I was like, "That's a good comment. That's kinda funny."
Yeah, one of my favorite scenes is when there's, like, all sorts of, like, deception going on, the music is, like, really hyped up, and you're just coming out from an episode that was, like, kind of a cliffhanger, and they think you guys were about to go for a vote, and everyone is talking about how upset they are and how they just don't trust people, and then they just show a clip of you steaming your pants, and you what was the quote? What did you say? Like, "I just want it to be known that I
Oh, I
steamed my
said, "I just
pants?"
wanted to go on record that I steam my clothes." But
No.
the thing is, like, you have to understand, you're filmed 24/7. So, like, there's no break. Like, it's not like I knew that was gonna be on TV. That was just, like, probably said to somebody, like, in passing, and then,
Yeah.
like, that's what they chose to put in that intense moment. Everybody's angry, and
Mhm.
they also did it to show that I never listen, my wife died, she came back to life, but she died giving birth to my daughter. So, like and my son was born 3 months early. These people were saying this is the most stressful day of their lives. There is nothing to me. Being there, like anything that they said, anytime they fought, I'm like, guys, 150 kids curse me out every day. My wife died. My son almost died. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm good. Like anything pressure that you guys think, like, we're on freaking the guy who invented Google's house right now, eating food all day, living on an island. Like, you guys are stressed about being on a show? Like, give me a break. So, like, and I
Yeah.
kind of always approached it like that. Whereas in like other people were always intense. And like
Mhm.
there was that other part they have, like everybody's like having this like heartfelt moment. They got me freaking suntan in my face, spraying myself with suntan lotion in the eyes. But once again,
Yep.
it's like you're filmed 24/7. So it's like anything you do, you're like, oh, I do that. Like that was weird to watch. Like I touch my
Yeah.
hair a lot, but I was always touching my hair because the wind was always blowing. So I was always
Yeah.
trying to get my hair down. But like you just forget. Like I would go in my room and go to like take off my clothes, and then you're like, oh yeah, I'm on. Like there's cameras the minute you walk in your room, there's roving cameras that just turn and start following you because there's a control center of like there's 49 cameras or something like that through the house. So as soon as you walk into a room, the control center moves the cameras at you. So like all of a sudden you're taking off your clothes and then like cameras looking at you. So then I would be like, oh hey Taylor, to like one of the camera girls, and I'd be like, how you doing? I would like slowly take it off, and then they would like turn the camera the other way, and I'd be like, oh no, you can't escape, and I would go to the other side. But you start going crazy because like you're just
Yeah.
in this house all day being filmed. Like, everything just it's a lot of filming.
Oh my gosh. So, I always thought that there was, like, people walking around with boom mics and, like, cameras,
Nope.
but it's just everything's just set up?
So there was like 49 39 robo cameras just in every room. And like that sucked too. Like one night, like I was like ready to go home. I was like, get me the out of this house. Cause like I would just miss my kids. It was nothing to do with the house. I missed my kids. I was like looking at
Yeah.
a picture of my daughter and I was just like missing like her voice. Like I was like forgetting what my kids sounded like. Like it was depressing. I couldn't talk to them the whole month. And I was just like,
Yeah.
I want to go home. And I like started like tearing up. And then like I just see like the robo camera like zooming in. I was like, let me cry in peace. I was like, I hate you guys. And like, but they would like laugh at stuff like that, y- you know, so the robo cameras picked up most things. But let's say like me and you were in a fight and we're like kind of off to the side and like the cameras don't have like a great shot of you. Someone will come like running in like Maury and like poach up and just like get like a better, more detailed camera shot. But there was nowhere you could go in the house that you were not on a camera somewhere. But
Oh
like
my
they
gosh.
wanted, if it was like a real conversation, they wanted like better coverage of it.
Did that, like, heighten it if somebody, like, popped out and, like,
It was
were you like, "Okay,
comical to
I
me.
this better, like we better get more intense."
No, because to me, I never changed anything about my like, you know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
I would be like, "Oh, hey, Rick," and they're like, "Stop talking to the cameraman." Because, like, also, like, what starts messing with you is you're in the house with the same 10 people, then it's 9 people, 8 people, 7 people, and it's just 24/7 of the same people conversations. So, like, anytime I had an opportunity to talk to somebody else, I was taking it. So I was just like, hey, Andrea, hey," and they'd be like, "Stop, don't talk to us right now." I'm like, "Come on, I'm hurt. I need to go see a medic." Like, please, like, I would just be, like, holding my leg, like, "Help me." Like, because you just wanna get away from these people.
That's fair. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Alright, so before I let you go, can you share kind of anything that you have coming up, any tour dates or anything like that where people can find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Stand Up Randazzo. Like, imagine, like, you're standing up and then my name is Randazzo, or, like, stand-up comedy, probably
Oh, is that what that's about?
it's probably better. The second one probably makes more sense. Um, less about the standing up, more about
Mhm.
that. You could find me there on Instagram, Stand Up Randazzo, or you can visit my website, gasparrandazzo.com. I will be on tour. I am going to be in Poughkeepsie, New York, New Brunswick, New Jersey, Hershey, Pennsylvania, Chicago, Illinois, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Long Island, Boston, Washington, D.C., Tampa, Detroit, Staten Island, Austin, Texas, Cincinnati, and Columbus, Ohio. So that's like from now till the next few months. So you could get tickets
Nice.
at gasparrandazzo.com. You might hear some of this stuff again. You might see some shark quotes,
Oh my god, please do not add shark quotes to your set.
some shark stuff. Like a shark, baby. Once I stop talking, I die.
On that note, thank you, Gasper, so much for coming today. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll be right back.
Bye.
Welcome back. So, I hope you guys enjoyed my conversation with Gasper as much as I did with all of the stories from his experience in the classroom and on stage and on the trust. He has the ability, because there are some stories that, I have heard from his sets from seeing him live, and it does not seem to matter if I've heard it before because his delivery is just so on point that it absolutely cracks me up. It was so fun seeing him on the Trust on Netflix. So if you guys have not checked that out yet, please do. He's exactly who he was on this show and who he is in the classroom. That's the person you see on the Trust, which is really just fun to see a teacher who is out there being hilarious and being a good human and seeing them on a show like that. So definitely go and check that out. Now, I wanted to share some of the things that your students are doing. This one, I don't know, it feels in keeping with the vibe of Gasper, because I think he might agree with this statement. But a student started an essay with, for many people, Red Lobster is the pinnacle of class. And that to me is just number one, something that I feel like Gasper would fully agree with. But also, I remember vividly when I started dating my husband a bajillion years ago, we had a whole conversation about the moment he realized that Red Lobster was not a gourmet restaurant. Because when he was growing up, like that was like a celebration meal, a celebration location was, you go to Red Lobster and you get those Cheddar Bay biscuits and you just live in the glory of that moment. And so it wasn't until like he had joined the Marine Corps and had been out of the house for a couple of years and he realized like some people just wanted to go on a Tuesday night to Red Lobster. And he was like, is it someone's birthday? Like, is there a special occasion? And that they were like, no, dude, we just want some biscuits. And he realized, oh, maybe it's not such a big deal. The second one you guys turned in was that a student lost her nose ring. So she smashed a plastic pen to make a suitable shard to use and like stuck the shard of definitely unclean plastic in through the hole she had for her nose piercing, which that kind of like choice for chaos is what just I live for in the classroom. Because if you were to do that in many, many situations, it would be too stunning to even like continue a conversation if you saw someone do that. But if I was teaching and I saw a kid do that, I'd be like, well, they're a problem solver. They figured out a solution to that issue. So respect, you've got to do what you've got to do. If you have something that has happened in your classroom and you want to share, I want to hear about it. You can reach me on Instagram at Educator Andrea, or you can email us at andrea@human-content.com, or you can get us on TikTok at Human Content Pods. And this is a new podcast, so we so appreciate you guys listening and subscribing. And if you want to leave a review, you might even get a shout out in one of the future episodes. You can catch full video episodes every week on YouTube at Educator Andrea. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. I am your host, Andrea Forcum. A very special thank you to our guest, Gaspare Randazzo. Our executive producers are Andrea Forcum, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brooke. Our editor is Andrew Sims. Our engineer is Jason Portizo. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. And our recording location is the Indiana State by College of Education. To learn more about Those Who Can't Do's program disclaimer and ethics policy and submission verification and licensing terms, you can go to podcasterandrea.com. Those Who Can't Do is a human content production. Thank you so much for watching. If you're like me and you're thinking, gosh, I really need more Those Who Can't Do in my life, you can start your binging right now by clicking on that playlist button right over there. New episodes are out every Thursday, so please subscribe and join us each week on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.